Go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's a public health and safety meeting for March 18th. And we have 7 here, that's a quorum, barely, but I think some others will come. So why don't we approve the minutes of the February 26th meeting?
So
They're
moved.
hot off the press.
I have two typo kind of things, so.
Okay, sure, because I've got a
Please.
couple things too, but go
I
ahead.
will give.
Okay,
Oh, you can give them to me now. I mean,
Okay,
I'm gonna make
it's-
changes to them.
It's Brent Hayes
Mm.
and, the other one, Brian Rahal.
Right, thank you.
That's simple things.
Right.
Thank you.
well, the other thing too was just the attendance.
Okay.
Let's see, Ally, you were not here last time, is
I
that
was
right?
not here.
Okay, so that was one.
And there's, it's COS, TANCO. There's
Oh,
no
I'm
N.
sorry.
No worries. I didn't want to correct you
And
if you gave me credit.
I don't believe Bill was here. Bill Clarkston, I don't think he was here. He's not here tonight, but I don't think he was here. And then Brian was not here, Brian Rahal. So I think we had 4.
Okay.
What about David Bain? He's not listed in either category.
Because he's not on our committee.
Isn't that what I remember?
No.
No, he was here as a other.
When we had the joint,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Like, yes, good.
So approve the amended minutes?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All right. So now let's dive into hearing committee reports. Why don't we start with you, Lois?
Okay, I'm not totally organized here, but I will be in a second.
Okay, well, we've got others, so we
I can go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I put together a survey monkey for trash haulers, lawn maintenance people, and tree surgeons. It went out to about 20-plus people. I got 14 trash haulers from the DPW who tip in Darien. I asked everybody on the RTM to send me the name or a contact for their trash hauler, and I heard from exactly 8 people. 8 people out of 100.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you sent me responses, I know you did.
Yeah.
I don't have a trash hauler.
You don't have a trash hauler?
I don't have a
Okay.
trash
I'm my
hauler
own
either.
trash hauler. Yeah.
But so far, of the 20 plus that we sent out, we've had 4 responses, all from landscapers, all of whom also said that they would like to be interviewed further to discuss this. None of them start before 8 o'clock in the morning. 3 of them stop before 6 o'clock. The last one would stop at sunset, he said. That's what she said. There are.
Wait, these are trash haulers?
These are lawn people.
Oh, lawn, thank
people.
you.
Got 0 response from the trash haulers, 0 response from the tree surgeons. I asked if you were thinking of converting to electric blowers. Half of them said yes, half of them said no.
That's interesting.
And I got a lengthy discussion with my landscaper, who's based in Greenwich, who's getting some electric stuff because of Greenwich's regulation, and has a lot of concerns. I can talk about them if you want, but there are a lot of problems with the electric batteries. There's no place to charge them efficiently. He can't charge them in his office because of insurance regulations. They hold a charge for about 30 minutes. Getting a whole rack of spare batteries would cost like $400 a piece, and they're not as strong as the gas-driven ones. So he's got concerns. He's going to
Also,
be compliant, but
Was he the one who said he couldn't, where do you get them repaired?
yeah, he said, if
Yeah.
one of these things breaks down, I gotta send it back to the manufacturer, and I'm out of blower for, a couple of weeks. If a gas one goes down, I can take it down the street to the guy that does lawnmowers, and he can fix it in about 15 minutes. The cost is about 4 times the cost of a gasoline-powered blower. So I think that kind of feedback is valuable. So I gave Mac the list of the landscapers who expressed an interest in being interviewed further. Frank Kemp from TGSNA sent me a list of 3 people he's spoken to as well, and I think they're quite anxious to be heard. As for the trash haulers, I don't know. I mean, I can try again. Maybe we need to, get one of our local reporters to write a story about the progress that we're making
Well,
And let the word go forth that if
Yeah.
you're, you know, a vendor in Darien, you might wanna, you know, give us a heads up. And I'm really trying to collect data now. I'm trying to collect evidence of how early they come and how quickly they leave. And are they sensitive? I think
Yeah.
they're sensitive to the noise, if not the health implications of using these gas blowers. But they got an argument too, you know?
So the one
That's
thing
my
is that
report.
even though you talked about the electric versus, we're not creating an ordinance for that.
No,
So,
we're not. We're
and
just
and I
looking
think
at
they
the
need to
noise.
understand that, because I think
Yeah.
there's a fear factor,
Yep.
so.
I can't believe that there's no better alternative with so many towns making a noise about this. Like if my husband were a little bit more mechanical, I would tell him to get ahead of it.
Well, I mean, if a market is built, if there are more of those electric blowers down
Yeah.
here, somebody's gonna get into the battery business and the charging business, and somebody's gonna get into the repair business.
Right.
But I guess are we creating the demand that the marketplace may or may not respond to? And we're not unique in the Gold Coast down here is having this concern. I mean, it's a nationwide
Yeah.
issue. So you would be, I'm surprised, I haven't done further research, I'm taking it as word that he said it's difficult to find batteries and repairs.
I would think if it wasn't, people wouldn't be resisting all of these ordinances so much.
Well, I think there's resistance for a lot of different reasons, but I just go back to what the first selectman told me, is that he does not want to be a leader in this, he wants to be a follower. He wants to wait until the thing is
Yeah.
worked out, and he just doesn't want to come off as being so heavy-handed.
Yeah.
So that's why he and the other selectmen came to us and said, we want to just talk about setting reasonable hours,
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
so. Well, anyway, go ahead, Lois.
Okay, so it,
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
there's 2 pages, they're all turned, and you keep yours, and you
Oh,
just got.
pass them though if you.
Well, we're gonna go this way.
Okay.
Did you get some? Okay.
Yeah, just,
Thank you.
it goes that way and then to Brian. So what I'm sending out is 2 pages. This information is coming from the police commission, so we have some real valuable data. It's just 2 pages, so. So I think I'll start, first of all, the 2 groups that I've been dealing with, or with TGS&A. We met with Kate Bush from the town administrator, and she was very helpful and very interested to give us historical and an overview of somewhat of why are we doing this, why did it come to the selectmen, and the sense that we got from that was that she wanted to make sure that we as a town are addressing things. Lots of other towns are, rather than just leaving it sit there and watch other people. Let's make sure that we're looking at it and see what's appropriate for our town, and that, so she understands this sort of where it came from to the selectmen to us. So she validated the structure and how we got here, which was very helpful. One of the major things that Kate talked about is the process of ordinances and regulations and things like that, and how they come about, and the importance is enforcement, and there's 2 parts to enforcement. The first part is any kind of citation of any sort, and that gets processed and goes to some town body or the state, and one does not want. It'd be best if anything we do doesn't go to the state and stays within the town for processing and dealing with. But the second part of it, which was interesting, was that you need an appeals process for anything that happens. And the appeals people are volunteers from the town that have the responsibility for handling appeals. And all those positions aren't always filled, which then backs up into, well, you can't issue citations if you don't have some appeals process, and et cetera, you can do it. I think, but the thing that came out of that, and it came out of other things that we've been doing, is that to function as a town in good communication and good involvement, or it doesn't necessarily good, but to encourage involvement, we talked about the good neighbor kind of concept, because that's some of the stuff that's come around and some of the things we've been talking about. And that ties back into the concept of enforcement, because if you don't have all the pieces in place, then you can't really use the heavy hand, and a light hand and an effective hand is a good way to go. So the what we learned from talking to Kate was where it fits, where it happens, and how things work. So that was point one. And that, I met, Liz Bacon and I met with Kate and Joe Michelli from TGSNA was part of that group. The second group that I've been involved with is the Police Commission and the police, effectively the police department. And that included Joe Michelli from TGSNA. No, I'm sorry, Jess Cahill from, let me get this straight. Yeah, Jess Cahill from TGSNA. Joe was involved in the Kate thing. So I do have information that I'd like to share because it's something concrete. So I've sent around 2 documents, and I'm going to read. The first one is an overview of the rules and the laws that are in place. Did you not get one?
I'm not part of your group, but I'll
Oh, here's
take a
an
look
extra
at it.
one.
I'll try and figure out
Thank
extra. I
you.
don't want to take from somebody.
Well, somebody's not here, so.
Two of these, I know one is missing.
Got it.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Okay, so the first one is all the words on the page, okay? And this is some research from the Police Commission about what rules or laws are in place that we're dealing with. The noise ordinance that we work with is the Connecticut General Statute, not a local one. And according to the ordinance, construction noise is exempt from enforcement. The operation of lawn care and maintenance equipment, such as lawn mowers, leaf blowers, is permitted between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. So there are hours from the standpoint of the state laws. Noise created by snow removal equipment operated at any time is exempt from ordinance. And mobile sources such as automobiles and trucks are exempt, which includes garbage trucks. However, once a garbage truck becomes stationary, for example, emptying a dumpster, the ordinance becomes applicable.
I mean, if I can just stop you, I mean, that's really powerful, I think, about garbage trucks, because, you know, we're hearing from constituents, there's one here tonight, is that, you know, it's early in the morning, and they're basically saying a garbage truck can go down the road anytime because they're exempt from, they could be at 2 in the morning. Now, the problem is when they start actually lifting, when they're stationary and stop, then it's no longer, they're no longer exempt, so that's when they're making noise. And I think we just have to kind of really get together with Ed on that, and also the schools, because that's where complaints have come.
Yeah, but the complaints, he said, were more from the backup, which is mandatory by
So-
federal backup, not for, it's actually not the dumpster dropping, at least it's,
Well, then if it's moving with backup noise, technically there's nothing we can do about
It's
Well,
that.
there's nothing-
gotta be 7 a.m.
No,
No.
it's
Oh,
no.
it's a, what?
Cars and trucks are exempt from the noise ordinance.
If
and
they're
that's
moving.
If they're moving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's certainly
When it
something.
becomes stationary, in other words, it's at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he has backed up, beep, 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 beep.
Right.
rum, rum, rum,
And then he lifts
Then
the
he
dumpster.
stops,
Yeah.
then it's
Okay,
operational.
I just like, so when we did this,
Yeah, go ahead.
I told Mac the story this afternoon, and it was like, I remember, I live, you know, there's a road next to me, it's a private road, but the garbage trucks used to do that all the time. I go, I don't remember hearing them anymore, and I saw it the other day. The guy now goes in forward, pulls into the driveway, does what he needs to do, backs up a little bit just to get out of the driveway, and then drives forward down the thing. Would never have occurred to me to say, hey, instead of backing up that whole hill, which is what the old guy did, could you just turn around? So sometimes there's like solutions that if you really look at a problem, you may come up with something very different. And it was a surprise to me, I have to say, but delightful surprise. And I don't know that that's the cure for everything, but sometimes it's just a matter, and you'll see that in what I'm going to talk about. I mean, the bottom line in a lot of the police stuff is basically talking to people and doing it in a way that people respond. Obviously, the police have a lot more, and well, hopefully good neighbors work, policy works, and also that the police do things and they get a response. And it's not a hard citation and all that other stuff. It's going in and saying, hey, could you do this kind of thing? So I'll get back to that. But this is, I want to read this part, the last paragraph. It says, as you will see from the materials that the DPD compiled for you in Public Health and Safety, we generally respond to noise complaints for loud music, loud parties, the occasional barking dog outside, patrons in parking lots outside commercial buildings, etc. Note that a noise complaint regarding a loud party or music as examples, the ordinance cannot be enforced without a scientific noise measurement device. In these situations, the Darien Police Department will issue a warning, and if behavior continues, then it would be treated as a breach of peace violation. On a similar note, we do not have many residents complain about lawn equipment. Based on my recent discussion with Chief Anderson, most residents respond positively to an officer when responding to a noise complaint. And the officer is usually reasonable list to resolve the issues of the parties involved. Both residents and our officers work very well together in most of these situations.
That's reassuring.
Okay, so now we go to the next page, which is the numbers. And this comes from their everything that, every call that the police get is logged, and they respond to every call. So it's not like there's stuff out going on beyond this.
So this is a log of every single complaint, whether or not.
That were either noise complaints or breach of peace. You know, they may have other kinds of things.
There's 2 machinery from 2022 and none from 2023.
Right.
So what prompted this whole noise ordinance if no one's complaining about it?
Exactly.
That's,
Respectfully.
no, I mean, that's a really good question that we're all kind of asking ourselves.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
been a lot of discussions that I've kind of been a fly on the wall witnessing about this.
People do complain, and I don't know if they formally through the police, because, they realize it's an annoyance. As a matter of fact, just 2 days ago, I had a complaint from another neighbor on our street, Jim, they were cutting down trees 7 o'clock Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're so exhausted, they wanted to sleep, and it's just like, basically, across the street from their house. So this is where a lot of the complaints come from, is, in the neighborhood with neighbors, but not
But
going
again-
formally to a body.
But something like that is a one-time event. You know, they're not cutting trees, you know.
No, but it
It's
happens
just-
enough in people's lives that, our area is pretty well populated. They've done it on Easter Sunday morning, cutting trees down, or afternoon when
Wow.
children were trying to have an Easter egg roll and they couldn't do it. So, like you said, the good neighbor kind of a thing, I think that people really need to. And I said to her, maybe in the neighborhood, people, just have to become aware that, maybe this is really a bad time for people, and maybe you could ask the vendor to come at a specific time, or come
Absolutely.
later. Yeah, so that's the way
And that's
we're
part of
resolving
it,
it.
from
That's what we're talking about.
that
Yeah.
what we've gleaned from this, and rather than talking to your neighbor and complain, go talk to that person and ask, could you, because a supplier is gonna be more responsive if I'm hiring this person, and I say,
Right.
could you please come a little later?
Right.
They're gonna be more responsive than, and the neighbor's not gonna go tell my person what
Right.
to do, kind of thing. So,
Am I allowed to jump in yet?
oh, do you wanna
Well,
wait?
Wait till public comment, or?
if, go ahead. Oh, we're pretty
Well,
loose here. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I think like our situation, I am one of those complaining, as well as a bunch of people on our street. We've got a trash collector that comes religiously at 4:45 in the morning for our neighbor's trash. I too take my trash to the dump, so I don't use a trash collector. But at 4:45, right in front of my house, I live on Park Lane, it's a very small street. I can't even get a variance to put, like, enclose my, my portico, but yet a trash guy can come right in front of my house at 4:45 in the morning, and if there's lots of cans and bottles and stuff in the recycling, it's waking me up. I'm a light sleeper, but my husband can sleep through anything, and he wakes up every week. So we talked to the neighbor, and we asked him, can you ask your guy? It worked for a month. The trash collector went right back to doing it. I had a complaint from one of my constituents, because I am an RTM member. She called up the vendor herself. The response was, we have to start somewhere. So it was very negative to her about it. So I do believe in the good neighbor policy. My neighbor could not have been nicer, and he's like, if they continue doing it, I'll switch.
That was what.
But like the I feel bad even asking it, but it's waking up everybody on our street. And then that's not even, we've got an
Well, that's
apartment
where
complex.
I think talking to the police about it and filing a complaint.
We
So
already
did we
did.
ever file a complaint?
and then-
Yeah, we
and
did
then-
that, but
Yeah,
there's
Are you on this
no.
list here, you know?
No, it's, and
Yeah.
Rob, my husband, talked to Chief Anderson, and there,
Mhm.
he said there's no official noise ordinance. So we couldn't
Right.
file a report, so that's why, because I'm looking at that, and I'm like, we've called a
We,
couple of times.
we got the impression from Brent that situations like this, it can be handled with the police involved, and it usually is satisfactory.
So
Well,
what
and
we're, I
again,
think what we're trying to do
Yeah.
at this point is to gather information. We're hearing
Yeah.
anecdotes,
Mhm.
we're hearing individual complaints. I'm trying to hear from all the people
Right.
that are making the noise.
Right,
But we don't have hard data, aside from this, on how many complaints there actually are.
Yeah,
A public hearing process inviting not only residents with complaints, but also vendors with concerns, I think would kind of flesh this all out. Because right now, we're basically all individually talking about what happened on my street, or I've heard from somebody else in your
Yeah.
situation.
But-
But are
So
these
far, we're
one-offs,
just-
are they a part of a
Yeah.
larger trend?
but so far, we're just not hearing many complaints. I mean,
Well,
every
that's my point.
department we've talked to tells us that they don't hear many complaints.
Well, but she just said she's filed complaints with the police
no, we've
department, it's
tried,
not,
we've tried, and they don't take
Yeah.
it.
I also told the
They
woman
don't
that
take
she
it, it's
should
not a-
file.
That's
Good
not,
answer.
that's not my understanding.
yeah, that's not what they told
But
us.
Rob talked directly to Chief Anderson, and so he said there's no noise ordinance on the book, so.
Well, there is
you
on the
can't
There is on
have-
the
Yeah,
state
there is.
level.
Yeah.
So, so
But this-
maybe that, but if the police are telling you that, then that's why this isn't on there.
I'm sure that would shut you down immediately and just go, okay, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
Well,
Well,
and
I think-
I'm
Was
looking
there,
at the
was there a
noise.
complaint that in 22? Because 22 had one garbage truck.
I mean, ours, we've been complaining about it
No, I-
for.
no.
No, but I understand.
So, yeah.
And the thing is that one or two people, as much as I understand, like, I was not wild about the guy going up my hill, and I
Yeah.
did not complain, you know, and it did go away, just wild.
Right.
You know, I think letting and if your neighbor would be willing to consider using someone else and letting the vendor know, all of a sudden you might find the problem going away.
Right.
You know, that's true, they need to start someplace, but if they're gonna lose the contract, all of a sudden,
Right.
and you know, obviously, I don't know if that person does everybody on the street, but certainly if they do everybody on the street, then you have
Here
some.
again, I think we have a public education opportunity, a learning experience to let people in town know what the rules are, what the proper channels of complaint are, and to let the police department, you know, not try to get off by saying Darien doesn't have a noise ordinance.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make more work for them, but we're trying to get some data here,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and so that's what
And
this
empower
is.
What's nice
to know what
about
there
this
is, what
is,
can be
this is
done.
really the only thing we have,
I
you
know.
know?
But I think also to Lois's point, for this information, the operation of lawn and maintenance equipment such as lawnmowers and leaf blowers is permitted between the hours of 7 and 9. I'm looking at the statute right there, right now. There is nothing that specifies hours. So I don't know where the police are getting that.
No, that's the state statute.
I'm looking at the state statute
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. There's nothing in there about time.
I
So
read something in the state statute before.
Yeah,
there used
I
to
don't
be
have-
something that, I
yeah.
mean, I'm on the
I'll
website.
get it double checked, okay, because
Yeah.
I didn't make this stuff up.
No, no, I'm sure you didn't, but I think
No,
that
I-
that's part of the miscommunication is that, you know, if there's, you know, we're saying that it wouldn't apply to the garbage truck unless it's stopped. And you're saying it comes before 7 o'clock. So that surely seems like the,
No, it doesn't apply to the garbage guy. Yeah.
No,
But
it
it
does.
says
if
it
When it
stops,
stops,
and
it
it
stops.
has to
When
click
it
the
stops,
thing
it
in,
does.
and then
Okay.
it's, you know.
so it seems like there's a miscommunication that,
But that's
Agreed.
back to Jim's point,
yeah.
of trying to make
Yeah.
sure we understand what all the rules are, that they're valid and things like that. And this is a shot at, you know, I respect your checking it, and we will check it, but this is the information we have. And the information on complaints, I mean, you know, this is what's on the books. You know, what do you do with that? And that's, I think, a lot of what, why a number of points of discussion are working on education, information, just getting people to talk to each other, influencing. some of your neighbors totally agree. I know what it's like when the
Yeah.
family goes. But I guess part of it is to say, you know, if we all work together, we have some leverage. And that, you know, it's uncomfortable. I never did go to my neighbor to complain, but boy, when I realized all of a sudden the guy's going up forward, turning around and coming, I'm like, that's brilliant. I mean, no, anyway, but that's the little thing. But if somehow, you know, all of a sudden you talk to the person and he finds out, well, you know, if you're not gonna do this, then we're gonna find somebody else. Interesting how they find somebody else where they can go at 4:45 in the morning.
Mhm.
So, that's not an answer that is effective, but,
No, I mean, we tried that, and it worked for a month, and then it went right back to normal, so,
Yeah, Brian,
Lois, what's the method of tracking? Because what comes to my mind is, if you want to make a note to town about, say, a pothole, you go on the website and they track it. How do you make a
these phone
complaint?
calls are recorded. I
It's
mean,
just
not,
you call up?
they're.
It seems like the
allowed.
tracking should be done online with town and Darien government. I just don't know if
That's a
there's a
good idea,
process.
is to have a, it's good.
Because they're
idea.
licensed, right? Someone in town
Well,
has to
but
license
this
these.
is different in that the police respond to everything that comes into them. So having something that somebody puts online, that somebody looks at the next day isn't how the police work,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, I don't know how, if I needed the police, I wouldn't be comfortable going online and typing.
no,
in some-
if there's a party at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and it's going on, you know, you're not gonna log on to,
Yeah.
and you're gonna call the police, and they're gonna send someone out, that's what they do.
Yeah, but I'm differentiating. The party's a one-time event. This sounds like it's been going on for years.
No, but the parties are one of the largest
Yeah.
complaints here, is what I'm saying.
But, you know, we could have more than one way that people might want to track it, you know. It's not a police, I mean, I'd never call the police about a leaf blower, you know, because I think they have better things to do. But there might be a place, like you say, online, that I might just say, you know, this is
But-
really bothering me, it's, 6 o'clock in the morning.
But I think if we talk about
Whatever.
creating an ordinance, that's who is gonna be the enforcers, the police.
Well,
So-
the way the state had worked, or what I had read previously, is that what they would have to do is that the police and David Knopfler, he's leaving, would come with a
Noise.
decimeter, but he just says, we don't even have one.
Yeah.
But that's the way it would, what was cited before in some ordinance I read.
Lois,
That's
did
what-
Brent Hayes from the police commission say that the police department would be willing to enforce a noise ordinance?
Chief Anderson said that.
They would.
If they had something with set hours, but where he did not want to go down a path was talking about telling people what equipments they should be using, and, you know, noting how loud one's leaf blower is and that kind of thing.
Because I just don't want him to kind of tell us that this is not a problem, go away. And if it is a problem, that, you know, if they're gonna be the agency of enforcement, that they're willing to take it on.
That's a separate, enforcement is dependent on the laws.
Right.
And that is a different question than should we have a law,
Right.
okay?
That's true.
So that's where you're getting two different
I
answers.
don't wanna write a law if they're gonna go, hey, right, we
No,
don't
no,
have
no,
the
no,
staff
no.
to do this.
Jim, you just said that if
Yeah,
there's a
okay,
law, they
geez.
enforce it, okay? The question is, and it's our bringing it up, they didn't, we asked the question, what information do you have, what's going on? This is
Right.
the information we got, which doesn't imply, in a grand scale, that we should have a lot more laws. But we also don't think, and Matt, you can probably take over from me, because I know you think.
Well,
Well, I was gonna say, but, you know, a lot of, and Liz Bacon was the one that started it, when she talked about having done the, you know, all the stuff with, what do you call it, with the
well,
house.
the blight,
Blight,
yeah.
that a lot, try and be effective in helping you, but, you know, by saying, can you talk to your neighbor and maybe give some thought to that? And some neighbors are gonna say, no, I don't give a damn. Or, I mean, I tried that once because somebody did something and that neighbor snarled at me, but, you know, hey, you get used to it. But maybe if 2 or 3 of you do it, and that neighbor just moved, so I'm really excited. But it wasn't terrible, it was a silly thing. But, no, seriously, and to do it as an overall, I mean, that's, I think, where a number of us are going, that, you know, if we saw tons of these complaints, like, okay, we really need something and we really need the police to be able to go out there. And the police are very effective in going out to a party. I mean, if you're a homeowner and you have a party going on, and the police show up,
Yeah.
you're gonna,
You get your
sorry,
attention, yeah.
everybody in the house kind of thing.
But I think by the time we call the police, the truck would be long gone, and it's he said, she said. I mean, my neighbor knew, like, they sleep with a white noise thing, but he's got a Ring camera, and it shows them coming there at 4:45 a.m.
Yeah.
So, like,
I would lean,
You can't
I would
just
try
leave
and lean on my neighbor to say, can you use
Get a
the
new
guide
one.
that this one's
and
using?
again, we're doing that,
No.
but that's not the point here. I'm also here on behalf of a constituent from District 3 who's also complained to us about it.
Yeah.
So it's not just me I'm talking about, and she doesn't feel comfortable going to her neighbor.
So this is all on your street level, or is it all,
It's also on a neighboring street too, that's
Which is
within
Rose is the other
Holmes,
street?
on Holmes Avenue.
Homes Avenue.
Now,
Yeah.
is yours related to the school or not?
No, but I can hear those from my house. You know, the dumpsters, like, everybody can hear it, like, across the town. When they do the dumpsters in the middle of, you know, the night, it seems like, they're loud. Especially in the wintertime when there's no leaves to
So
absorb the.
most homeowners don't have dumpsters, it's, you're talking about the
Exactly.
schools. And,
Schools.
and we've been told in no uncertain terms that the schools are kind of exempt from all this, so.
Well, we also have an apartment complex on our street too, or at the
Mhm.
end of our street. So we hear that one better
Mhm.
as well too, so.
And one of the, I think you mentioned that somebody had mentioned to encourage them maybe to put a rubber matting or something. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know enough about it
Yeah.
to be
Yeah,
an expert.
Mark mentioned that, Mark Adeletta.
I mean, I think part of the campaign, assuming if that is the direction we go, is to take some of the creative ideas and try and say, well, let's try this. Rather than, you know, one group saying blah, 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 and the other group, you know, ignoring you. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing in town. This is the way we'd like our town to function. We'd like people to talk and help each other out. And here are some good ideas that we've come up with. And Mark
Yeah.
brought up the one of, you know, if you have a dumpster or something that bangs when it comes down, put some rubber under it or something like that. And, you know, if the neighbors have to get together and pay, you know, $10 each to get, you know what, I'm extrapolating too far.
Solving.
But that's what, and, you know, we're not trying to say it doesn't exist. We acknowledge that different people have different problems. The question is having laws and having statements that create a lot more, I don't know.
Well, and the other thing too is you don't want to create a law that's unenforceable. You know, look at speeding.
I just find it interesting though that Jackie can't find the ordinance
Well,
on
we'll figure that, we'll
the
solve that.
thing and that.
Yeah.
and-
Solve that.
But it's interesting, or that
Well,
Chief
Brent-
Anderson told us.
I mean,
there's
Brent
no-
peeled off, he cites the
Okay.
state ordinance, or the state, they call it, no, state laws on it. I mean, they're number, we can find it and confirm that timing.
Okay.
So that'd be
But
great.
again, the carve out is, what glares to me is that trucks and cars are exempt from noise ordinances, and garbage trucks are exempt, except when they're actually doing their work. But driving, if they're driving down the street, really, you know, they're just like any other vehicle.
Right, and that's not my complaint,
Mhm.
so it's when they're stopped and unloaded.
You know,
I think it's a good idea, though, outside of the ordinance, to do some community health education around this and the impact that it has on people through something in the newspaper or some
Well,
kind
we've-
of column that we can.
we're talking
reach
about
out.
having with the police commission, do a whole program on this. I mean, that's what Brent is very, very agreeable to.
Yeah.
They've done it on speeding, this would be another thing like that.
Yeah, just to really raise awareness too about, you know, kind of the health implications and, you know, because some people are really, really bothered by noise and other people not so much, so.
Because I
Yeah.
just dovetail, I had a phone call last week with Jeremy Ginsburg, and he talked about downtown for the most part, but he said that there are just, he said just a handful of complaints about noise downtown, and he said a lot of it is currently with the construction going on. And he said that, you know, it's just, you know, it's basically, there's nothing they can do because these guys have to work, but the projects, those guys are usually done by 5 o'clock at night. They're not going late at night, and they're not working on Sundays unless something special comes up. And that's kind of true, I think, of when you think of contractors and landscapers. I mean, they pretty much don't work on Sundays. When they do, it's usually, maybe it's rained 5 days in a row and they're trying to get caught up. So, but it was,
Construction noise is exempt from the state regulations.
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
So it's kind of moot.
right.
And the only good thing about garbage trucks is they don't do it on Sunday because the hauling place is
Don't-
closed.
don't-
But we hear you. I mean, we
Yeah.
understand.
I think-
And it's just, we're trying to do something that balances everything in the town and get something that's effective.
Absolutely, I'm all for that. And again, I only came because I knew you guys were talking
That's
about
fine.
this and it was on our minds, so.
Good.
And I just want to be clear, the reason that I'm bringing up the fact that I don't see the time specified in the town ordinance is, or in the state ordinance, is that early on, we talked about perhaps the fact that other neighboring towns do define a specific time, that by not defining a time, are we leaving ourselves more open, that they're like, oh, we go to Darien because they don't have a law?
Well,
And,
as she said, we gotta start someplace.
right, exactly.
And if Darien is the only one that doesn't specifically say you can't be here before time X,
But we don't know that, and that was
Yeah.
part of, somebody's responsibility is to go look at what's going on in all the other places.
Right,
so
well, and
that we make
that's
sure.
just why I was asking it, is that just because I don't see it in the state, so.
Well, told you, I'm gonna follow up.
Yeah, we all will, you know.
And that's
That's one I
one.
think that I had read at one point, said 8 to 8. And that whole website was down, so I don't know whatever happened to that. It was a long time ago.
We will
Yeah.
follow
It's like
up.
a free-for-all at this moment then.
Mhm.
It's more of a free-for-all at this moment.
Right.
Yeah, the free-for-all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna report back to Frank and find out where they are, and then maybe it makes sense to us have another group meeting. But I think, you know,
Beth?
what's that? Oh, yeah, Beth, do you have things to add?
No, I don't.
Okay, because you were working on,
I haven't yet been able to get the answer, but the question is which refuse collection entity is used by the Department of Education for the schools.
And what their guidelines are.
Yeah.
What they
Yeah.
out there. And do they get any complaints? The board?
Well, I think we know that they've had complaints from, I can't remember who reported them, but from neighbors of schools about the trash pickup. Mostly, I think it was you, Tom, like the reverse beeps,
The
you know?
beeps.
Oh, yeah.
backup.
But yes, I will ask that, but I have not finished up with that, sorry.
okay. Well, let's move on. The next topic is a quick update on Great Island. It's open, you can go out there from sun up to sundown. I know Lois, you've been out there? It's,
And that's gonna be until, they start the working on the roadway. And it's supposed to be in April, but I think that right now it's open all the time. And once it is, the island will be only open on the weekends. And I think that from what I saw and other people have talked about, there are no pets.
I saw that, oh, it was devastating.
Well, that's because they don't have, they're not set up to have
Not
pets.
yet,
Whether,
but they will, hopefully.
I don't know, I mean, that's up to the.
As long as they're on leashes.
On a leash
Not
eventually,
yet,
you would
at this
think.
point, no.
Well,
Not now.
that's another problem with the leash law in the town. No
yeah,
one-
unenforceable.
Yes,
Well, I walked my little 8-pound dog down there, it took us over a mile to get there. And then I saw the sign, no pets, but I had a thing that I put her inside, you know, I said, oh my goodness.
yeah, I think that's what, you've seen John, have written up in the bi-weekly press, and he has a video, and it says, the day after, I met with Kate the day after I had walked at Great Island, and I go, the 5th bullet point says no pets, and the sign's facing this way. Maybe it should be the first. She said the first is pedestrians only. I said, okay, maybe pets should be the second one. But don't put it down at the bottom of the list if you really expect people to see it. And I would love to see little signs here and say, no pets. We love them, but, or please no pets, or whatever, if they're trying to do that. And when we were walking, I was walking with another RTM member, and the two of us, when we saw somebody, we asked them, could you please? And the people were very nice and turned around, and they had their dogs on leashes. But that's what the rule is now, and that's what they're trying to ask us to do. And, we do want access. They're gonna go through a lot when they're doing the streets and the digging up and putting the street and putting up the walkways. So they're gonna do their best to let us still have access on weekends. I think we need to do our best to honor what they're trying to do, and if we really want pets, send a note to your representative on the Great Island Committee, or the head of the Great Island Committee. I don't think, no one's walking around saying there'll never be pets, but nobody's figured out the long run of what we're gonna do. And I just as a side comment, when I was there, somebody came up on a bicycle, and there's no bicycles also, and a policeman came by and talked to him, and the guy walked his bike all the way out. And we were at the far end of Great Island, so he had to walk his bike all the way out. I mean, these are startup things, and we hope that soon, you know, all the pieces are gonna be there. But somebody going really quickly on a bicycle does not do really well with walkers and cars.
Is
The policeman on foot?
No, in the
No,
car,
the
we saw
policeman's in
him.
the car.
Yeah, we saw him too.
And the other thing, and I do have to compliment, one of the people from Public Works was driving around his truck to make sure that everything was okay and people were fine, and he had a great big smile on his face, and he said, "Oh, do you have any questions?" I mean, he couldn't have been nicer, and he couldn't have wanted to help more. So that was just so reassuring for what they're trying to achieve and what we all want to achieve in our town. And I saw so many smiles, and people I'd never seen before were out there. So, you know.
And I also think from a safety standpoint, they have areas they don't want you to walk
Right.
to, and it's clearly marked, and it's done tastefully. There's nice stockade fencing. There are places that they're working on remediation. My hope is I'd hope to be a little bit more openness about what they're doing. We haven't really heard. We heard anecdotally when we approved the purchase that there were some things that they were working on. You know, remediation of pesticides in the old apple orchards, things like that. So I'm hopeful that we'll hear kind of what they're really doing and what the situation is there, because they've actually kept David Knopf out of the loop too, which is unfortunate. He's not really been involved like he'd like to be.
Well, there's also the health or public safety implication of people having to park at Pear Tree Beach, walk all the way up that narrow roadway on both sides of the road to get access to the main gate. How are we gonna maintain access for people that don't have beach stickers, when beach stickers are required to get into that parking lot? And when the boat club is in there, and apparently there's some berm that's gonna be built along the side of the beach that's gonna knock out 31 spaces as well too.
I think people have much better success parking up somewhere near the post road and using the sidewalk all the way down. It's about the same distance.
Yeah.
And there's the other, I mean, it's a little longer, but walking up Long Neck Point Road as opposed to walking along the water is
You mean
much
going up the hill?
safer.
Go up the hill and then around.
Yeah, it's so much safer because it's wide open.
You'd be my guest, walk up that hill, have a good time.
I
Yeah,
do.
well, you can, that's good.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, the first cross street after you go across the bridge does not have no parking signs up. So I have seen people legally parking there, and that's actually a lot closer than Pear Tree Beach. It's a lot closer than Pear Tree Beach.
So
But
people
if it becomes a
I wasn't
problem,
aware
I'm
of
sure
that.
the police department will put some
Yeah,
more
people
signs
are
up.
parking at Hindley School too, I mean.
Come on
you know,
down,
it's
by all
cool.
means.
Yeah.
That's okay, I mean, because you have sidewalks, you can walk
That's
down
it.
all the way through and do that. So, and it's a learning experience, and they've called it a soft opening, and the point was to listen to all this, see what the issues are, what. I think that the truth is, there were a lot of people out there, I didn't go this weekend, I went last weekend, and there were a lot of people out there, and it was really cool to see so many.
And there are
people.
no restrooms, so.
That's right.
Yeah, there will be, but not
Yeah.
very much.
No restrooms, so you have to.
You know, and the smiles on everyone's faces, as I said, was just reassuring. It reminds us why we voted the way we did.
So beautiful.
Well, that's all I had. Any other announcements? Motion to adjourn?
So Lou.
Okay, thank you.